What's happening, everybody? Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast for the week of March 8th through the 14th of 2021. Brian here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Thank you for joining me. If you're not a member, please do consider subscribing at fixedair.com for daily and weekly horoscopes, sun sign, rising sign, tarot show, a community to hang out with, talk about astrology. It's a good time. So consider that if you haven't already. And let's jump into the week. We're building up this whole week up to a new moon in Pisces on Saturday the 13th. It's going to be early Saturday morning. It's quite the build up to it. There's definitely some important stuff to look at. So we're going to go through the charts of this week and give a little rundown on that. Hope you enjoy. Start with Monday. I think it's just important to realize that, we're all direct and all fast with all the planets. So it's go time. It's time to move. It's time to move fast. And we have a Mars locked into Gemini. You're going to want to move. You're going to want to get the energy out. You're going to want to look for information. You're going to want to do things in your environment, connect with people. So it's a good time to get the things done that you want to get done this week. And there's chapters closing. There's chapters beginning. You want to move in that direction, and movement is key. You can get very restless with a Mars in Gemini. So don't hold yourself back and sit around too much. Like, this is definitely a time to go after things in life this week and make it happen. We're going to have the first retrograde with all these planets direct. It'll be Pluto on April 27th. So we're all direct until April 27th. So it's go time, especially since Mars is going to be in Gemini for most of that duration. Move, look for facts, act on them, switch things up. We're all about that right now as we come into this new astrological year. So we're getting ready to move into that energy. It's interesting with so much next to Neptune this whole week. We're going to have the sun at 2 degrees to start off the week, away at 18 degrees. So Sun Neptune can be a beautiful dream. It can be extremely compassionate. But you know what? The theme for this week is really discernment. We have to, spiritually discern ourselves with what's true and what's not true, and what makes sense to us, and where the facts are. And it could look like things are there could be a lot of rose-colored glasses on as we move through this week. So there is this high level of discernment. You got to find out what's real, what's illusionary. And especially through a Neptune in Pisces with media, you want to pay attention to what's being said, but, use your deep spiritual discernment. Check with your gut, check with your intuition this week a lot when it comes to like what information is coming out and what you're acting on. And does it make sense deep within you or not? Or is it just a story? So I think that's a big theme for this week. As we move through, we start off Monday with the moon in Capricorn with Pluto. So that moon is in, fall position here, detriment actually in Capricorn. And it's with Pluto. There's a lot going on with our goals in life. And, I think our own achievements personally and trying to, where are we going? What aspects in life are part of sort of our own spiritual dream? Is that moon's going to make some really nice aspects with sextiles to Venus, the sun, and Neptune. Gotta check in with where things are going within you, I think. And that's like your best ally is like, are you ready to transform and reach peaks in your life by checking in deep with your own sort of spiritual attunement and not just letting outside sort of media or where things look like they're going trick you into maybe switching up your best plan, your most powerful aspect that you're trying to work towards, and to really make sure that you're keyed in on your environment. You're keyed in on where you're going. That moon's gonna also quincunx that north node, so it's like there's a deep sort of gut check that we have to find and investigate within ourselves to make sure that we're living our dream with all this Pisces energy and seeing a lot of that beauty. It can be a very compassionate time, a very loving time, a very beautiful time. And I think that that's what we're looking for is the beauty in Pisces season, and that compassion and sort of understanding of the bigger picture and the wholeness, and bringing everything together, where we have so many planets in these sort of transpersonal signs that we're a little out there right now. And with so much on Neptune, like, it can feel very out there, especially as time's moving really fast. So what are you getting to the bottom in life? What are you getting to the bottom of in your own personal life? And do you feel like you're reaching higher or not? And I think that we're asking those questions within ourselves as we move through this week, especially. And there's a lot of spiritual discernment. Venus at 14 degrees, it's getting really close to the sun, so it's starting to get burned out. So where where Venus had a higher score in dignities than Saturn overtakes for the rest of this week. So that was kind of short-lived, and Venus is going to be with the sun as the sun finishes out Pisces season. So Saturn's back to calling the shots. So it's like, did you see the beauty in the dream and the relationships that make the most sense, before we kind of have to hunker down and be responsible for where we're going and the people in our lives? And are we living our dream? Are we living our truth or not? And there is an integrity to that. There is a responsibility to that with Saturn calling the shots. And we've been dealing with Saturn calling the shots for a long time. So it's been sort of this heavy Saturnian vibe of like, what are the goals? Are we connecting with the right people? Are we sort of living our mission? And we got to get back to that, and it's going to be interesting with the rose-colored glasses of Neptune and the Sun and Venus this week. And then Venus is going to start squaring these nodes, which we'll see tomorrow. So Tuesday, we got Venus at 15 degrees square the nodes, which is, in evolutionary astrology, anytime you get a planet square the nodes, whether it's in your natal chart or transiting, it really represents a skip step in many ways. And, I think that we just went off that we had the sun square these nodes, which was really a big check on like personal beliefs, your spiritual truth, making that sort of destiny leap. We're sort of right in between eclipses here in this Pisces season. So, are we going towards our truth? Are we going towards this next chapter in our life as we close out the astrological year? And I think we have to really check in with our feelings. We have to check in with what makes us feel good, what money situations are like. Where's money going in the world? It's kind of weird out there. Crypto looks pretty good. The stock market's definitely like in a weird spot. So I think that, there's a lot of physical things in our reality that we have to like, is this an illusion? Is this real? What's going on? We need to understand it and look for really, a lot of objectivity. And I think that that's key with the North Node in Gemini, is to be very objective and look at things and not just fall into stories and beliefs, but we have to discern very deeply within us spiritually and make sure that two relationships, like this is a big spot for relationships. And we just had Juno and Eros here square Neptune. Like, there's been a lot about relationships, and, they keep coming up in the astrology. Like, are your relationships good? Are they the dream? Are they beautiful? Do you guys see each other? Is there a spiritual connection? And are they sort of going in the same way that you want to go in your own personal environment? So there's aspects of that we're looking at heavily this week. We're going to see that moon come into Aquarius, and it's going to square Uranus. So Tuesday's definitely insightful. I think you could get a lot of sort of electricity, especially with Saturn there, to sort of take responsibility for your emotional state and where you want to go and the people that you want to align with, the collective. Where's the collective going? Are you sort of individuating from aspects of the collective that you don't want to be a part of? Because there is a lot of parts of the collective right now that are very split, and it just kind of is that way. And Aquarius is very split too, as you look at the waves. And it's like, are you on yours or are you on someone else's? And I think you have to tune into that channel emotionally and really find out where the connections are, especially with Uranus being the planet that can rule the collective and the people as well. Like, where are you at emotionally? And are you connected fully? And are you into it? And are you looking at the insight and taking things very objective And we're also going to see the moon trine Mars. So Tuesday is definitely a heavy one with the emotions. And, it could be very healing with Chiron in the mix, with a sextile. There could be a lot of healing when you step into your own frequency, when you step into your individuality, and when you maybe pioneer the life that you want to live for yourself. You got to make sure that you're that's where the healing's at, is when we're finding our own identity right now. And Aquarius it definitely wants to liberate through individuality, connecting with like-minded people so that it can do something better. And I think that there's a lot of information on Tuesday that you could receive internally, especially with the sun 1 degree away from Neptune. Like, if you can discern your spiritual truth and where you're going in your environment and be acting quick with Mars and Gemini on the emotions that make you feel ultimately connected, that make you, you're seeing truth, you're finding objective truth, which is extremely difficult right now. And it's going to, who knows what's going to come out in the media this week. It could be like a complete spell in many ways. Like, news with COVID could come out and everything's all good and, everything opens up, and then they slam the door shut and just crush people. Or vice versa. They lock everything down, and because it's so split, right? There's people that want COVID to they just want things to go back to normal and go out and live. And then there's people that are like, no, COVID's the real deal and we need to be extremely safe. And there's a huge split there. And, I'm not trying to say one way is right or one way is wrong right now. I don't think anybody really knows. And that's just where we're at. So you have to discern it for yourself. And, there's going to be illusions. There's going to be a lot of discernment that we have to find within ourselves to find facts and act on them that make sense to us as individuals. And that comes from within yourself. And there's a responsibility and integrity there on Tuesday that you sort of want to check in with Saturn and the moon. As we come to Wednesday, we get that Sun-Neptune conjunction, which is, it can be extremely beautiful, extremely compassionate. This could make you want to really lend a helping hand when it comes to people around you. We could always, there's nothing wrong with having rose-colored glasses on, as long as you're still like grounded. And I think that there's not a whole lot of Earth in the chart, minus Pluto and Uranus. Those are very, outer planets that rule more of our subconscious in many ways. So it's like, where are we grounding at? There's a lot of water. There's a lot of air. There's not much to ground out with. So we do want to stay in reality. We want to stay sort of grounded, but dream and go off into a magical place. But, like I said, discernment is the theme this week. And we get the moon with Jupiter and Mercury on Wednesday, and it is going to be that Mercury day. Emotional sort of understanding of where you want to go, the future you're stepping into. Mercury is going to be 3 degrees from coming out of shadow. So we see Mercury leave its retrograde shadow period this week. It's, the moon's going to trine the North Node. There's definitely like emotional understanding of sort of where you want to go and what your truth is. If you're in an individuated state, looking sort of at the bigger picture of the future that you can have and the connections that you can have in life. As Venus moves off the square to those nodes, and it's like the people are very important. The relationships are very important. Where are they going? Is the connection there? Are we seeing other people's truths? And can we understand that? And I think that that's a great power that there could be on Wednesday, is sort of understanding other people's objective opinions, as well as understanding your philosophies, other people's philosophies, and just what's going on, and maybe being able to express that, because there's a lot with the moon with Jupiter and Mercury about like really sharing like how you feel about the bigger picture of the world, and communicating that with the people around you so that you know who you're going in what direction with. And I think that it's another day to be, discernment comes up big time emotionally. Like, can you check in with your intuition, but can you also get down to like brass tacks in many ways with the analytical side of like, does this actually make sense in my world? Or does it not? And why am I falling for whatever's coming out here? Because we could see some weird stuff this week. Like I said, with media, who knows what's up. So we're kind of in this interesting phase. And Wednesday, we're going to see that moon go into the balsamic dark moon phase. So things could get a little interesting, a little out there, especially with the moon in Aquarius. It can be very, we might have to get very disconnected to find out where our sort of beliefs lie and where the actual truth is, And in many ways, it's a good day to disconnect from media so that, you can check in with your own discernment and see where your path is taking you and where your beauty lies in your future and in your own, your sort of environmental truth and how are you acting upon that. Like, this is definitely a time to take action. With all the planets direct, Mars is out of detriment in Taurus. It's ready to run and move. And, if we got to switch lanes, sometimes we got to disconnect from things to switch into what we really understand. So what do you really understand for yourself? And are you ready to take a leap into that? And then that could be very, very helpful. You got to remember too, it's like during the day, at least here on the west, on the northern hemisphere, you got all the planets in the sky. So the days are intense. They're intense. And they're like, what's going to come? We got all these planets beating down on us here in the center. Just lots of energy. What's going to come out during the day? Who knows? It could be a lot of things, but then we have to check in as if that's real. So discern for yourself what's real this week, especially on Wednesday. Coming to Thursday, we have that moon enter Pisces, the dark moon. It gets, there's a lot in Pisces right now. Venus, the moon, the sun, Neptune. It's definitely, we're going deep into sort of our own emotional depths, finding out what aspects of ourselves need to kind of dissolve in many ways. And Pisces kind of represents that dissolution in many ways. So what aspects do need to kind of leave so that we can step into a more pure, a more connected, a more wholesome and compassionate place? And we're in this dark moon, so there are things ending. We're closing out the lunar cycle in Aquarius, which was heavy Aquarian, very heady, kind of futuristic, where are things going, what's up with the collective energy. And then we're stepping into this Pisces. So we're in this this whole next lunar cycle that we're stepping into is heavy with Neptune right in the mix. And we start to see Neptune really in the midpoint of Venus and the sun. So, I mean, this is just one of those times where it's like you're closing out things in life that is not making sense and it's not beautiful and it's not compassionate, and you're stepping into your spirituality fully, especially with the squares to the nodes and going about what makes actual sense in your life and sort of your own spiritual truth. It's very like spiritual truth related. Are you in that, or are you in a story that's being projected? And I think that, relationships, are they the dream or not? Like, I think we're all going to start dreaming heavily too. If you haven't been dreaming heavily during this Pisces season, this is the week where dreams start to hit, big time. And, what are those dreams trying to say? Like, maybe we should be interpreting those, because maybe we're getting big messages about where we need to go for the future through those dreams. We're going to see the moon make some good aspects. It's going to sextile Uranus. It is going to square Mars on that Thursday. So interesting to see sort of how we act when it comes to what information might get projected on Wednesday. And, we're looking at a lot of mutable energy here when the moon comes into Pisces with with Mars in the North Node in Gemini, the moon, Venus, Neptune, the sun in Pisces. Yes, we have the fixed energy in the chart too, but that's where it gets kind of difficult, because part of us, might want to really hold on to certain beliefs, to what we think the future should look like for everybody. but there's things that have to, sort of let go so that there's a better way forward, with Uranus trying to really like advance us, take us into a better sort of physical world. But it's like the world kind of has to change in really unpredictable ways. And can you pivot, and can you sort of evolve with where the earth is going? And I think that that's an important aspect too as we come into this cycle, is like, can you collect sort of all of your emotions and dissolve the ones that don't make sense for your future and that don't sort of go with the evolution of where things are evolving with the earth? So, you look at where the earth's going, it's starting to rotate faster. The poles are shifting, and it's like, if we're not willing to shift too, like, we're going to go through major sort of trauma in many senses, and sort of bring up crisis events. So within ourselves personally. So we really have to be mutable and sort of be able to mutate and change. That's key, and Mars is giving us a lot of energy to do that in Gemini, to switch lanes. And we might, Thursday might be one of those days where you have to go deep within yourself to switch lanes and really discern for yourself. Friday, sun comes to 22 degrees. It's really just, floating through Pisces. It's getting close to the sextile to Pluto, but we're not going to see that this week. We're going to see that new moon at 23 degrees. So this is that day before. We're going to see Venus and the moon together, but we're also going to see the moon square these nodes. So there's just a lot of nodal squares going on this week, and there was last week. So we had the sun, Venus, the moon. There's emotional sort of destiny points here within ourselves, and can we change and go in that direction and dissolve what isn't of our own individual truth? There are stories that we have to leave behind if we're going to like sort of break free and go into this new direction, this new astrological new year. And, we're in the year of the ox now. So the year of the rat's behind us, year of the ox. We've got to kind of be steady, but, we also got to find people to work with, right? The rat jumps on the ox's back. So it's like people are important too, especially with the Gemini energy. We got to look for that sort of twin-like energy when it comes to the tribe. And I think the tribe's important too with the Aquarius energy we have. And we're a day away from Mercury coming out of shadow. So we're definitely, the mind's moving, it's almost full speed. Mercury's going to start moving fast again. It's already moving fast, but it's going to start getting up to full speed once it comes out of shadow. And it passed Jupiter, met with Jupiter 3 times. It's like in many ways, the guru of Jupiter gave you within yourself, in your individuality, all the answers you need to move forward. Are you going to take action and act on those answers? Let go of some things, disconnect from some things in life so that you can really move forward and understand where your destiny, your future is going. It's definitely closing out a lot with that Aquarius energy, which is big time connection, disconnection. So, we need to have, obviously there's a lot of compassion and beauty with Pisces season. But, don't forget to be compassionate for yourself, right? And take care of yourself. You don't want to be delusioned into just, with Venus 1 degree away from Neptune, just giving all your sort of energy to other people. Make sure that you're loving on yourself and giving yourself that compassion to understand what's best for yourself in many ways. That's key, I would say, as we come into that new moon, 23 degrees with Neptune and Venus. I mean, it's an interesting lunar cycle that's starting. Last one was with all the Aquarius planets. There was so much in Aquarius, right? 6 planets. It was just very sort of out there. This one's out there too. And with Neptune, it's like, what are we going to see over this next 28-day lunar cycle? Like, very interesting times. And I think that we can expect a lot of projection. It's very Wizard of Oz in many ways with all this Pisces energy. So, what's really going on behind the curtain? And that's where we got to use that spiritual discernment within ourselves to dissolve whatever story doesn't look real And it can be hard. There's going to be rose-colored glasses on all over the place. Which, depending on where you're at and what you're paying attention to, I think it can be a very beautiful, spiritual, compassionate, amazing sort of time here. But there's also like, where is the big picture going? And it's where it's so out there with all the Aquarius and all the Pisces. So we got to ground somewhere, and bring sort of this creativity into our own world and into our environment, and be able to act on that in constructive ways as Mars and the North Node get closer together. I mean, Mars North Node is definitely it's one of the best things we got going right now. Like, we can take action for our destiny and switch things up in a heartbeat if we're willing to, and if we're not just going to sit around and waste this energy. And we can bring dreams to light, but it kind of like starts with the dream. It kind of starts with the vision, and then the thought, and then we got to bring action to it. And I think that, when we come into Aries season next week, we're going to get some of that. We're going to be able to put that fire back in the chart, and we're going to have an exalted sun. We've had the sun in detriment, the sun in, not in places it likes to be. Pisces isn't terrible, but it hasn't been getting good placement, as we can see from the dignity score. -5. The moon likes Pisces, though, and Venus is taking a hit, getting burned out by the sun. So it's a big time new moon. We can go in very magical places, and I think we want to embrace the magic that we can create. And if we understand our magic, it can be extremely beautiful, and we can alchemize that. We have to ground it somewhere, though. And I think that that's one of the tricks, is to like bring those dreams to reality, and make sure that you're living your dream and you're not part of someone else's sort of spell. And that's where that discernment comes into play, because Neptune can really fog things up. It can really dilute things. And we got to make sure that we're sort of not going too far out there, so that we can still see what's true and act on that. And I think that that's, going to be very helpful. Pluto's a little bit in this mix too, with a sextile, 3-degree orb to a lot of this energy. So, that could be where we ground, is sort of by like finding that deep power within us to make sure that we're going on our sort of destiny climb up the mountain of our own reality, and that, we can dream that we can accomplish more and make more happen in our world. And that power is, within you. It's your greatest power, is to make those things happen for yourself, and, to see the dream for yourself, and not, what someone else's dream is. And, you look out there and you see like what the big shots are doing, like Gates, right? Buying up all the farmland, all these things, even Musk. And, I kind of like Elon Musk, but, there's certain people out there that are really playing this game of Monopoly, especially Gates, with all the stuff he's doing with the, Are we living someone else's dream, and are we under someone else's power, or are we finding our own inner power, our spiritual power, to find our truth and to really alchemize a reality that is connected to our dream, that is connected to something bigger for our mission here as individuals? Mercury's out of shadow for this new moon. So it's time to like really understand where we're going. We figured out a lot. We connected a lot of dots and looked at things very sort of out there in Aquarius, and sort of scientifically, or maybe disconnected, especially with that Mercury retrograde. We had to figure out a lot, but did we figure out what we need to connect to, and where the best situation is moving forward? Because Aquarius wants to fix it and make things better. Are we making things better for ourselves, or are we making things better for something that, do we really believe in it? Is it really part of our truth? As we finish off the week on Sunday, we're going to have that moon come into Aries, giving us some fire in the chart. We could have had some amazing dreams, amazing insight. Venus is going to come off of the exact conjunction with Neptune. Our we ready to kind of take a leap forward and push forward emotionally with connections? The moon's going to be on Chiron. Ceres is on Chiron. Did we just take a huge sort of spiritual healing session with that new moon, and kind of, are we ready to move forward with our power in Aries and sort of be the emperor of our reality, or the queen or king of our reality with Aries? And it's very instinctual, so now we want to act on our instincts and feel that and connect with that energy. It's making pretty good aspects, right? It's going to sextile Saturn. It's going to sextile Mars in Gemini. So we have this sort of sextile triangle here. And I think that we can definitely make big leaps forward if we're empowering ourselves with the spiritual truth, with the healing that we've gone through over that new moon, and start this cycle off with power to go in the right direction, to go in sort of the exciting approach and not, waste it. We don't want to sit back and just do nothing. Mars is going to start to sextile. It's working on the sextile to Saturn. Like, we got to take responsibility for what we want, the information we're getting, where things are going, who we're going in the direction with, the environment, and switch gears if we have to. If we have to switch gears, we have to be responsible for that overall. And this is a good day. Sunday, it's like, we're coming into the next week after this new moon. Like, take action for what you want. Take action for the dream you want to live, and discern what's really going on with the projection. If this week gets weird with projection, because Sun, Neptune, Venus, like, it might be hard to know what's really going on. And you might have to really look into your own, truth, your own environment to find out what is real, what isn't. And we're connecting a lot of dots. So it's a week of discernment, spiritually, very deep. What needs to dissolve so that you can see your truth and act upon your truth? And what, we need objective facts. So if you just see something, North Node Gemini, Mars Gemini, if you're acting on something that isn't just throwing like hard facts out there and it just doesn't feel right, because sure, you might see some facts through the media. They're going to throw out some numbers. Are those numbers real? Where'd they come from? We have to do our own sort of deep research and trust our gut when it comes to a lot of things. And does it really feel right or does it not? A lot of node squares with the moon, Venus this week. We're at a major pivot point when it comes to relationships and, where are things going? Are we living a dream, or is it a nightmare? Only you can act to change your environment and to discern what's real and what's not. And you want to use your heart for that. You want to use your gut. Definitely want to use our head too. Mercury's doing well out of shadow towards the end of the week, so we can figure a lot out. But sometimes we have to disconnect from things to look at things more objectively. If we're looking at things mentally and trying to figure it out, it's got to be objective. But when it comes to your spirituality and what feels real, you got to check in with your heart. You got to check in with your gut. And that's how you can really discern what's real in this time. Otherwise, it can be an interesting week with facts coming out. So I do hope that you found this helpful. I appreciate you for watching. If you haven't, please become a member on the site for all the dailies, where I go into these charts much deeper for the daily and pull cards, and it's a good time. Appreciate you all so much. Have a great week, and I will talk to you next time. Peace.